and welcome back to the Villa View. As you all know, we sat down with John Gregory in January to talk about his time as a player and a manager of Aston Villa. We know the John Gregory series finished weeks ago, but we did have some spare footage of John talking about individuals in more detail, so we thought it probably deserved a video on its own, as it is an interesting watch, so please check it out.
Well, I've always had these kind of questions, and it's hard to define who was the best. I mean, I look at it possibly more logically, things like financially, who was the best. Melberg was probably, you know, pound for pound as such. We paid £5 million for Ollie Melberg, and we got 9 years out of him. And he played 40 odd games a year. You know, he didn't just play 20 games a season, he played 40 odd a season. The only times he would usually be out of the lineup was as if he's been suspended, you know. It wasn't any other reason. And Melberg was incredible value for money for what we paid for him and what we got back for him. And I mean, you obviously look at some of the boys during my time. Dion Dublin, we paid £5 million for him, which was a lot of money in those days. But we got him just probably at his peak. And I think we got, you know, best part of 4 seasons out of him. Again, that's sort of good money. Merson was incredible. He was a magic man. He could win games on his own. He would usually be our best player most weeks. He was an outstanding footballer. We got some great years out of him. You know, we paid, I think, 6.8 million for him, something like that. And in many respects, we got a lot out of him. Obviously, after I left and Graham Taylor came in, things didn't quite work out quite the same for Paul. You know, I think I had a good working relationship with him. I kind of knew how he ticked, and most days he was in my office for one reason or another. And I used to give him a cuddle, give him a bit of sugar, keep him sweet, give him a couple of days off when other players were in training. I knew it would do him well. He used to travel up and down from London, from Watford, you know. And he was going through a tough time at home and got 3 young boys at the time. And, you know, I know life was a bit difficult for him at times, but every Saturday he performed, you know. So he was brilliant during the time. Juan Pablo, we paid a lot of money for him. He took 4 or 5 months, I think, before he scored his first goal. And but once he got off and running, again, you know, another 4 seasons out of him. He was superb for Aston Villa. So there's been lots of good players that came through during my time there, and I worked with a lot. Obviously, I worked with Brian's team before. I was there as a coach, and I mean, just the talent. People like Ray Houghton, Steve Staunton, of course. I worked with. Steve was somebody that we inherited. Me and Brian, when we first came in '94. Staunton was an amazing. He was by far the best left back I ever worked with. He was an incredible footballer and the biggest moaner in the world. And when Stan was moaning, he was happy. And I used to hear him every day moaning in the corridor, moaning about something. He'd be moaning if it was cold, he'd be moaning if it was hot, he'd be moaning about his kit and boots and God knows what else. But when he was moaning, he was happy. And but he was an incredible footballer, and people like Ray Houghton that we worked with. Ray Houghton was an incredible footballer, and we got them. Ron Atkinson's team was just beginning to age when myself and Brian came in '94, and we still got a little bit out of them, but a lot of them, their legs had just started to go, and Ron Atkinson had probably had their best days. Gary Parker, another great footballer. Kevin Richardson. Dalian Atkinson, of course, up front with Dean Saunders. Dean was the worst trainer I ever experienced in my life. Absolute pain in the backside. And on Saturday, he would usually be your best player. He used to mess around all week. You'd go out, put out balls and discs and bollards and God knows what else, and get yourself all organised. He'd come out and kick all the footballs all over the fields and just destroy everything you were trying to do. He'd mess around in training all week, and then something inside of him at 2:30 on a Saturday afternoon, he'd just switch into match mode and he'd focus on the game, and he'd go out and usually be the best player Saturday afternoons. So there was some really great players. McGrath, of course, we worked with. we just got the latter end of his career. But even at that stage, he was an amazing footballer. Yeah. Amazing footballer. So we got the chance to work with some great players, people like Mark Bosnich as well. I'm not mentioning the goalkeepers. Bosny, complete lunatic, but amazing goalkeeper. So we're very fortunate to have worked with some really great players.
Do you want to know who I thought your pound for pound best signing was? Mark Delaney.
Oh, it's funny that I was thinking about him today.
Yeah.
250 grand.
Yeah, cheap.
Cheap as chips. So I went down and watched him play at Cardiff, and I probably saw him about 3 times, and I wanted to. The only reason I sort of delayed a little bit was I didn't know whether or not he could make the step.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's a big step. 250 grand wasn't a lot of money in those days, and I just wondered whether or not he could make that step. And I kind of looked at him as I looked at myself. You know, I think I came for 40 grand from Northampton back in '77, and it was a huge step for me, massive step. But I sort of grew into it, as I said earlier. But you know, Mark was going to have to do the same sort of thing, coming from a smaller club like Cardiff, suddenly being thrown into Villa Park. And I kind of, as I said, I sort of saw myself in him a little bit, coming in playing as a right back, but he just come straight in and got on with it. Again, he's a fit lad. He could deal with the physical side of the game, and he did brilliant for us. And yeah, he turned out to be, pound for pound, as you say, you know, a really good signing, very cheap.
Obviously, his career was cut short, a bit gutting really, because he could have gone on to been even more in Villa folklore for what he did when he did play. Of course,
yeah. But it's good that he's still there, huh? In a coaching role. It was it was a shame when he got a very bad injury. That's always the price that you can pay, you know. It's a risk you take, I suppose, getting an injury. A lot of us are very fortunate that we get through it without any too many mishaps injury-wise. But no, Mark did brilliant during his time there, and as you say, good value for money.
So that's it. A nice bonus John Gregory video for you Villa View subscribers to check out. We enjoyed sitting down with John so much. He was such a great guy, so charismatic, and he really made you feel 10 feet tall when you met him. So hopefully that came across in the video, and we can't thank him enough for joining us. Remember, if you can politely press that like button down below, please do. Comment below with your best memories of John Gregory and whether you enjoyed the series. Remember, please do check out the Villa View meets Brian Lill, as well as the John Gregory and Ian Taylor series if you haven't watched them. Please subscribe to us, and as always, up the Villa. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.